Dad Pod?
Just a video thing as well.
Doesn't have a name.
Podcast?
Midlife crisis.
Paddy Daddy.
Midlife crisis.
Dadcast?
That's not bad, actually.
You're very welcome along to this episode of Dadcast. I'm just giving my best deathly dad stare to the two lads chirping away in the background there, doing production meeting in the middle of the sting. Welcome to this week's Dadcast. Dave, how are you?
Hello.
Adrian, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Nathan, how are you?
Very well.
Yeah, I see you brought your A game, lads.
Nathan Sellotape, is it?
Hey lads, says Connor Minchin. Love the show. Hilariously relatable.
Does Connor's second line anonymous?
No. I have a question, or more of a problem. I hope some of you can come up with a solution to. Our daughter sleeps in our bed 99% of the time. When she was a baby, it was easier for nighttime feedings, but now she's 7.5, 8 in September, and not only sleeps in our bed almost every single night, but wants one of us to go to bed with her, which leaves the other one of us waiting on the couch with Netflix on pause, because as we all know, no streaming service program can work without both the husband and wife watching at the same time. Anyway, I digress. We've tried everything: renovating her room, the cool loft bed, favourite character bed sheets. We read to her in bed, have nightlights, she listens to audiobooks, everything we can think of. In the event she does fall asleep in her own bed, she wakes and comes into ours during the night anyway, and sabotages her chance of ever having a sibling. Friends have said that we should have done sleep training years ago and let her cry herself to sleep in her own room. But try that when you live in an apartment building in Brooklyn with neighbours above, below, and either side of you like we had at the time. Somewhere down the country in Ireland, yeah, grand, I'm all for it, but it wasn't an option for us. Any help or suggestions, greatly appreciated. Love your work. Connor from Brooklyn, originally from Bagnallstown in County Carlow.
So the kid is what age, 7?
Who is not getting any. I mean, I think that's the important part of that.
You don't know that.
Which is more important though? Not getting any sleep or not getting any action?
That's a good question.
I mean, do I have to,
You know?
to state the obvious here? Like, I mean, you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be bedtime to be getting some. Is what I'm saying. Oh,
Oh, wow.
no, I'm just saying. It's not like-
Lunchtime in the Barry house.
it's all going on in the Barry house.
Wow. Where's Adrian? Oh, I've a meeting.
You wouldn't know what would be going on in that house.
Is that not a fair? Is that, I mean,
Well, I suppose you couldn't be at night, all that snoring and put you off.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what
Reference to an earlier episode for any listeners who've just tuned in.
I don't know what's doing.
Wow.
Close the door and lock the door. Would that be an option? Like,
I'm stepping back from this. Mine are 2 and 4. I don't have a 7-year-old climbing into the bed beside me every night, so I'm going to bow to
hang on
these
now,
two,
Dave.
I think.
Hang on. After your performance last week, where you delivered the greatest advice of the entire series, I think you should.
I have no experience of this, though.
But that doesn't mean you don't have an opinion on it.
Well, I have an opinion.
Did the lads ever sleep with you?
Like the odd time if they've had a bad dream or something.
Sporadically, but never on any sustained level.
Or like, now if one of them wakes up an hour before the other one, so say we've got a 6:30 waker, I'll just kind of stick my head in the door and say, come on, get into Daddy's bed. And then he'll just fall asleep with me, and it means the other lad can continue sleeping. But we never had an issue of, in the middle of the night, someone saying, I want to get into your bed. Nearly 4 to 5 times a week, at least one of them will say, if I go into the room and they're in the middle of the night, one of them will say, will you get into my bed? And I just always say no.
Yeah.
And then I might stroke their hair or hold their hand for 60 seconds, but then you're gone. There's none of this getting in beside them, and there's none of them getting in beside you.
See?
It's a rocky road.
Yeah.
You
Great advice.
you end up getting the beginnings of the birds and bees conversations around the age of 7 in school anyway. So sit her down, have the whole chat, and go, if you want a little baby sister or brother, you cannot come into our room. That's it. And she will never come into your room again. She will never try to get into your bed because she'll be shocked for life. You'll be like, what? No way! That's gross!
But
One way of going about it.
Maybe she doesn't want a baby brother or sister. And
Maybe
she's
that's
like,
part of the issue. She's happy
it's
being
like
the only
sabotage.
child. Like if a child is 7 or 8 and still won't sleep by themselves, like do you just have to go and bring the child to a therapist? Like is it at that, if you've tried absolutely everything?
I don't know.
Is there some deep-rooted psychological issue?
what's their living arrangements now, did he say?
Is it still in
I got the
Brooklyn?
impression they're no longer in apartment living.
Well, they're still in Brooklyn. The address was Brooklyn, so...
Okay, but...
I mean, to be honest, you just have to, like, you inflicted on... It lasts a week. It was a week when you were living in the apartment block where everybody hated you, and it was actually over by midnight every night, so...
Well, look, with the advice now is that every time she... I assume, like, she's old enough now, she's 7, that there's no gate on the door, for example.
No.
There's no barrier between her and their bedroom. They just need to wake up, pick her up, put her back in her bed.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, pick her up, put her back in her bed.
Yeah.
Do that 15, 20, 30 times a night for 7
week.
nights. And you
Take it
break the
turns.
back of it then, and you'll look back at it in a month's time. And we were in similar situations with other issues, and people said to us, "Do you know what, in a couple of months' time, you're going to look back on this and laugh." And they were absolutely right. When you're in the thick of it, it seems impossible to meander your way through it. When you get through the other end, you do look back at it. They can definitely sort this in days rather than weeks, but it's just going to take a rough few days.
You need to be an absolute bollocks.
Yeah.
It might take weeks. You should prepare yourself for it taking weeks.
And himself and his wife have to be absolutely on the same page, even if that means she needs to go and sleep somewhere else for a few nights if she can't, or he might be the softer one where he can't handle the pain, he can't handle the cries and the hysterics and the please daddy don't do this daddy
There's
kind
probably
of stuff.
less hysterics from a 7-year-old. There probably are.
I don't know. Are they not more hysterical and stronger?
And louder.
No, I don't think so. I think there's like I understand you're disappointed, but this is for everybody's benefit. You hate me. I can't believe you hate me. Why did I have to be born to you?
My only advice is...
As it's just hypothetical situation, George.
These are direct quotes.
My only advice is when they do come into your room, and I've mentioned this before, maybe just check if they've a temperature of 40 degrees or something before you angrily throw them back into their bed 3 times in the space of 10 minutes and tell them under no circumstances are they coming into your room.
Yeah.
I think bring her back in and then I wouldn't get into the bed beside her. We have, the 2 lads are in the same room now, and we have a little poof/stool type thing right between the 2 beds. And I might sit there for 60 seconds and hold the younger fella's hand, because he's always the one who goes, will you get into my bed? No, I can't do that. I have to go back into my own bed. Hold her hand for 60 seconds and then leave. Never get in. Then come back 10 minutes later when she's awake again, hold her hand for 60 seconds. Eventually she'll sleep knowing you're there.
Yeah.
You can leave and it'll get to the point where she won't wake up again.
Yeah. We had the third one came in and just ended up sleeping with us the whole time for ages, and it was a nightmare because like they're thrashing around.
No bed is big enough for that.
Like you imagine before you have kids.
No.
Where they snuggle into and you think this will be fine. It's like their feet are in your face.
Headbutts in the middle of the night and like and screaming, and then eventually we just were like, no, this has to stop. And I don't remember exactly how we did it, but there was certainly a lot of that, bringing him in. And then,
what age though was it where you had to put
like
a stop to
just in the last 6 months. So he was 3 in March.
Okay.
So but it was before Christmas. We just decided, and there was a week of no sleep. And
It was only before Christmas. Like, for the benefit of our listeners, at least try and remember what you did. It's not like Christmas 2010.
What are you talking about? I can't.
We did something. The child didn't come back anymore. 3 months ago. I'm sure somebody, an adult looked after it. It was fine.
There was the big breakthrough when it was like you would put him down. So the other thing was like it was around the same time he was coming off bottles, which was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And then the big thing was, you have to come and check on me. And we were like, yeah, I tell you what, we'll only check on you if you're asleep. And presto, he's like, okay, Grant, straight off to sleep. There was no kind of interregnum where you have to sit there for an hour holding his hand or playing like the sleep sounds.
Yeah, that's genius. We did that with our eldest. He'd always say, can you, after the bedtime story and the kiss goodnight, now will you just get into my bed and help me fall asleep? I'm like, I can't. I have to go downstairs and have my dinner, but you know what? I'm going to check on you as soon as you fall asleep.
Yeah.
He's gone.
I mean, it doesn't suggest that they're going to be leaders of the country in future. I have some concerns about that, but like, as long as we can teach them how to tie
Well, our listeners should definitely...
Velcro's important.
Definitely fire that into the mix as well. Throw that line into the mix as well as bringing them in bringing her back in every time she wakes.
How are the babies sleeping?
Not great. Sort of every second night we get a full night's sleep, but the last couple of nights she got a bang in the head on Wednesday night, whereby there was a Pokemon battle going on in the kitchen, which she crawled into. Also, at what age should children be crawling? I feel she's some sort of prodigy.
Right.
She's 8 months.
Right.
Oh, wow,
and she
that
is
is early.
tearing around the place.
That's early, isn't it?
Which is not ideal because she doesn't have enough cop on. She's obviously clearly no cop on at all. So she's now getting into places already. Everything goes straight in her mouth.
Yeah.
So we're like, no, I was expecting this in 3 months' time that we'd have to fully baby-proof every piece of the thousands of bits of Lego that are just left strewn.
Yeah, because you don't have all the stuff from the kids. Oh, yeah, disaster.
So, and they're mad into Lego, so it's every day they're playing with their Lego, and 5 little pieces end up in the kitchen floor, and she's there, and suddenly she's gone out of the sitting room before you notice.
And were all the lads the same? Because
No, I think the oldest lad was sort of that straightforward, crawled around 10 months, walked at a year.
putting everything in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
They all do that, don't they? At some point.
No, it was definitely different. It skipped one of ours, for sure. No interest in putting, but like
Right.
the last one was like the remote control,
Yeah, our one's like 5.5 months now, and everything she can get her hands on goes into the mouth. It's like your fingers, the remote control,
Yeah, you name
pillow,
it. The
the
dirtier
chairs, a mat, whatever she can get her paws on.
Well, I'd say I was one of the few people in Ireland whose mobile phone was bacteria-free, because my youngest fella had sucked all the bacteria off my mobile.
Oh yeah, my wife's phone was on a permanent lock yesterday because the baby just somehow got it in, and whatever way
But
the moisture had seeped down into the phone.
Our one is teething, so that's... Sorry, there's something coming up in their top gums, so obviously she's like, I need to get my gums onto something and latch onto it. So I presume that's the root of everything that comes into her grasp. But other than that, she's sleeping, wakes... Not sleeping great, actually, in the last little while. I think because we were away for the Easter thing, and that just throws them totally out of kilter.
It takes the routine away.
Both of them, they're like, what the hell? You might as well not bother doing anything for the previous couple of years. It's like any routine.
But you do get a chance to start again. It's like, this is our new routine. We're going to be...
Yeah, it's difficult when they're young. At least, like, I don't know about your older kids. Ours, I left my house at 9:45, and the 6-year-old was just about waking up,
Oh, wow.
having gone to bed at 8 o'clock last night.
Well,
That's amazing.
Like he's...
No. Ours
But
was-
the problem is, obviously, he's going to need to be waking up 3
Monday
hours,
morning, yeah.
3 hours earlier on Monday morning, and will not be keen to go to bed 3 hours earlier. So it's a pretty vicious circle.
That's no sleep. But you've got to let them get to whatever sleep you can.
Well, that's what I kind of think as well. The more sleep wasn't there new recommendations out yesterday that they should be getting 13 hours, kids between 1 and 4 should be getting 13 hours sleep a night.
Jeez.
No more than 1 hour screen time
Fantasyland.
per day
And no screen time for under ones.
at all.
Well, that's one landmine we failed to sidestep anyway. Like, come on. How many of our listeners with kids can, hand on heart, say their kids under 1 did not see a screen?
Is it
They won't sit and concentrate. Like they see it. They see a screen from if the lads are watching
television,
something.
doesn't
Yeah, and they see you watching television, watching the phone. I knew I was a bad parent when our second one was about 2, and I'm like, why won't he just sit and watch TV for an hour?
Yeah.
Why would he just sit and watch? What is wrong with this child? Why would he just sit down and give me a break?
13 hours, was it 13 hours a night or 13 hours a day?
There's an afternoon nap as well, right?
Yeah, so we definitely hit the 13 hours if we include the 2-hour nap during the day. But
we would too,
otherwise- Otherwise, we're falling short of that.
When do you stop naps?
It depends.
2.5.
Our guy's 2.5 now, and he would sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon if you let him.
Right.
But like
Then when to sleep at night.
90 minutes absolute max. But normally after an hour, I'm gone in and making enough noise to make sure he thinks he's in the middle of an earthquake in the San Andreas vault. But after that, you're just asking for trouble at night. Then, if you give him 3 hours, Kip, you're screwed.
I know. If the youngest one ever falls asleep in a car journey, everybody's on tickle duty in the back to make sure that he's like awake. And you can imagine he's very happy about that.
That's where phones come in. That's where phones and screens are great.
Travelling.
Yeah. If you're, like, for example, Monday we went up down the country and we left Cavan at 5, so it's going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get home. I do not want them to sleep between 5 and 7. That is an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah.
Pulled out a tablet for one of them and my phone for the other. We got to Dublin. They started dozing off at 10 to 7. Boom. Carry them both from the car into bed. Without the screens, I would have had a major problem on my hands getting home at 7 o'clock, where both of them had a lovely kip on the way back and neither of them had any interest in going to bed.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
None.
There isn't one. So I'm not going to listen to anyone lecturing me.
At them.
Yeah. I'm not going to listen to anyone lecturing me about screen
Driving
time.
erratically.
I can't imagine
Scared for their life.
the naps are so bloody useful now. Like, I know that you're mostly past it or whatever, but Jesus Christ, like that 2 hours of calm during the day is like particularly when you're away for a week with them.
Yeah, but
Which
it's
was not
like
as stressful as
temperatures of like 17 degrees in the middle of January when you're playing golf in your t-shirt. It's amazing, but you know it's wrong. You know that global warming is an issue, and our kids are screwed.
They're not neither now.
And you're there.
Well, he needs a nap
he's
too,
sleeping
doesn't he?
yeah, but if he's sleeping for 3 hours, and you're like,
No.
amazing.
3
I'm
hours.
happy with my box set.
Hour and a half.
Okay, but like. Sometimes you do you not find suddenly it's 2 hours and you're
It
just
can
like,
be. No, I grant you that. I grant you that. I grant you that.
it's 2.5 hours.
No, I grant you that. That's
And
fair.
you're
Maybe
going-
tonight's the night where they'll still fall asleep.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, I know this is really wrong, but I'm not going up to wake him.
Yeah.
Hell no.
No, it's very true. But yeah, like an hour and a half, and it's such like not normally affected by it because I mean maybe a bit at the weekends, but like obviously you're in work or whatever. But yeah, when you're away, you definitely feel the Jesus. You need that 2 hours. Like you've been up since all hours. You're absolutely wrecked, right? And he's like starting to doze off, and you're like, this is heaven.
The only thing is that it does dictate you have to be somewhere. Unless, will he sleep? You won't let him.
No, it's normally like the car or at home. Normally.
So they'll sleep in the car?
Yeah.
Driving around there. Yeah.
Oh, he's like the sort of kid you put him into the car and you drive to the end of the road, and by the time you get to the end of it, you can see his eyes. You're like, no. And sometimes, like Dave says, you're like, you're on the way to bring him to football or whatever, and it's like he's dozing off. You're like, oh, dude, will you wake up? Wake up! He's like, he gets there and he's like the grumpiest man on the planet. Like,
what have your kids been like after they've woken from a nap involuntarily? So. An hour's sleep, and you've gone in to wake them. What are the next 2 hours? Like, what is the story with that?
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, do you enjoy being woken up?
Yeah, but like, I don't
semi-aggressively.
I don't treat the people around me.
the San Andreas Fault going on next door. What is it? What's wrong with my kid?
Like, we were hoping it was just the first fella that would be like that when he was woken up, say, from a snooze. But now the second fella, it's just like, don't go near this kid for an hour. Because he despises you. He hates everybody
For an hour?
on the planet. Oh, like, could be 60 minutes of absolute hatred.
And in that, are you trying to coax him out of it?
No,
or are you
I just give long since given up.
Right.
I'm just, it's like...
Because it doesn't work.
Is he getting enough of a nap?
No, he would have 3 hours if it was given to him.
So maybe he's
But
just
like,
still
he's
tired.
2.5 now. He shouldn't be having... No, it's not. It's just crankiness when you're waiting.
Yeah,
it's not because he's still tired. It's because he's been woken up and he wasn't ready to wake up. It's almost like a crime scene. You put tape around the area. Nobody go near this kid until he's happy enough to integrate himself with society.
Did everybody survive the holidays and being off? You're off quite a bit now during the week.
Yeah, we survived. To them, probably didn't seem I was around them or they were around me any more than normal, because it is great at the moment. I do get to spend a lot of time with them, but you do find it more difficult, obviously, to fill the day. So by yesterday, I had them all day yesterday.
That's Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, so
Friday.
Given that I'd had them for most of the week, we'd already done the farm, we'd already done swimming, we'd already gone to a play centre, we'd already done a load of cycling. Oh, the older guy learned how to cycle without stabilisers this
Pretty
week.
good, isn't it?
Like, there was definitely dust in my eyes a few times this week. And but then you get to Thursday and you're like, right, well, what the hell is left? The list has been exhausted here.
Go back to the farm.
No, we went for play centre again. But, so yeah, it was a busy week. It was an eventful week. It was great. It was great. And then, like, last night we were kind of saying, well, Jared threw out a text saying, right, lads, what's up for discussion outside of what our listeners bring to our attention? I was the only one who made any effort to respond to that
It was
text.
a long text reply as well.
But when he started cycling without the stabilisers, you have to use that as one of the moments where you do sit back and you go, this is unbelievable. Like, this is amazing. And you think to yourself, I am the luckiest man in the world that I'm his dad. Now, there are times over the last 4 years where you're like, how the fuck am I your dad? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
As in, are you saying that in a
As in,
positive
he's just being
sense?
so bold.
All right, yeah.
But then you have to go to yourself, like, I'm actually... anyone could have been his dad, but it's me. I'm the luckiest dad in the world that he's my kid.
Anyone could have been his dad. Is the clip we take.
But you have to use these moments and appreciate them, because there are moments where you're just like tearing your hair out.
Yeah.
It's very important to smell the roses.
Bank the good times.
Absolutely bank the good times. He is pegging it around the place, and every time you see him do it, you're just going, can't believe that's my kid. This is unbelievable. Then he turns around and punches his brother full force in the face, and you try and clean that previous moment for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I found we went away for a few nights. We spent half the week in self-catering, which was the most perfect solution that we should have just done for the entire week, and then we spent the rest of the week in a hotel. That is just not really the way to go at all, in any way, shape or form.
The four of you in a hotel room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the same hotel room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three of us in the same bed.
About 9:30 at night, you start getting a little bit annoyed with life.
No, what happened was we'd go out for a bite to eat, so you'd go to eat at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock.
Well,
you'd go back.
Yeah, they looked after that in the afternoon.
Oh, sorry.
We'd
2 hour nap.
2 hours. Jesus. I don't know what goes on around your house.
2 hour nap was for you guys.
Yeah. No, that was anyway. Where was I? So we go out for a bite to eat. You come back, you'd be stuffed and absolutely wrecked. So you'd be putting them down to bed, and you'd have the lights off and the TV off, getting them down. And then you'd just be like, oh, well, I'll just rest my head here for half an hour and wake up at 7 o'clock the next morning. So
That sounds great.
Yeah.
It was, because you make a decision. At some point in the evening, you make a decision. Less so in self-catering, because you've got the option to head off. And
Yeah, but this is our life now. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, actually, Jesus, I might just go for this. Fuck it, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go for it?
Because you kind of feel as if you're
on
in
your
this cycle
holidays,
of you're
you
missing
feel
out on
as-
something. You're like,
You're
Stay
stuck
up
in a
late.
hotel room
I
with your
might
kids.
throw on the TV or
But you do that at home. That's not
in a
holidays.
hotel. You could head up and have a beer. It's like, but you just gave into it and actually felt way better for it. I felt rested, calm. The entire thing was not anywhere near as stressful as I expected it to be. It was great. Mostly. Mostly. There were moments of, well, I'm leaving you on the beach now. I'm going home. I don't give a fuck. You either find your way home or you don't. That's the way it works. But yeah, no, it was good, yeah.
And those empty threats are kind of they're just to be expected, right? It's like we got them passed down by our parents. Presumably they got them as a gift from our grandparents and so on and so forth. If you don't do this, and they're like, no, you won't. You won't. I mean, you're not stopping this car. You're not leaving me in the side of the road. You're not eating all my chocolate. I just know. I'm looking at them going, okay, you are clever.
Literally 2 hours ago, the older guy robbed a Hulk figure from the younger guy. And this is 30 seconds after I said, whatever you do, don't just snatch that out of his hand. 30 seconds later, the younger guy's wailing. I look around, there's Hulk in the bigger guy's hand. And I said, you can give that back now, or you can get out of this car and stand on the side of the road while I bring your brother off. Now, he's only 4, so straight away he gave the figure back. At what age is he going to realise that is never going to happen?
About 2 weeks. This is a happy moment. This is as important as him learning how to cycle. This is the same.
Threat work, Dave.
Yeah, it's over.
We took the sensible option of, booking our kids in for a camp and getting rid of them all day.
On holidays? Or
No, we weren't. We didn't go away at all, actually, because we're going away next month. But they went to tennis camp from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Wow.
Which actually, as I was putting them in the first day, I was going, that was a long time to be.
Wow.
That's a lot of tennis.
That's great.
That was a lot of tennis to
Were
be
they
playing.
absolutely knackered at the end of it?
Bollocksed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do they love the tennis?
Shattered. Yeah, they.
No, not really.
I don't know. I think so. Like, it's at that stage they're not even playing that much tennis. It's more just general games and having
Run
to
around the
crack.
place.
Like, they still, I think, in the morning go. See, I think they see the alternative is if we kick up a fuss and we don't go, they'll just let us watch on TV at some stage.
Yeah.
So we sort of forced them into it. Brought them to the driving range yesterday, actually, which was first time.
Dangerous.
Well,
They
I
sat
don't
in
know
the
if I
car.
mentioned my eldest had gone to the driving range on a play date.
No.
It didn't go so well.
Right.
You walked out of the bays?
No, and I actually didn't hear about it for about a week.
Hit his
I was
body?
like, how was the driving range? Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine. Nothing happened, no. And eventually the other kid's father mentioned, I think he was wary of, so they were swinging away and not having much connection.
Dadcast.
And then, obviously. And my son walks behind the bay and suddenly finds his inner Tiger Woods and takes a wild swing at the ball, makes the most perfect connection, as the father said, it was like in slow motion, makes the most perfect connection with the ball, flies into the air, smacks his son on the side of the head.
Oh. So I don't get, where was the guy who got hit?
He was
front of the bay, you mean?
No. The kid who got hit was
In the bay.
in the proper position.
Yeah.
It's normal.
As
Safe.
normal.
Yeah.
In his
My
safe
son
zone.
was behind the white line, just randomly, swinging the club, messing.
right.
But there was a ball, obviously, somewhere close by, but So there was a kids camp going on, and listen, I obviously am in no position to teach my kids how to play golf. So I'm trying to show them some
You're not in a bad
of the
position.
basics of how to stand.
So I had them out with Peter Lorre anyway for 6 hours.
Paul McGillicuddy
But
came over for a
actually,
little
so anyways, I was like,
When your fingers were bleeding,
I'm there about 45 minutes starting to get a bit frustrated. I'm like, I showed you how to stand. Just stand like this. And Brendan McDade, who is one of the coaches out there, he was like walking past, sort of watching, going, just tell him to hit the ball. I was like, yeah, but I just wanted him to stand right there. What age is he? I'm like, 5. Just tell him to hit the ball.
All right, Earl, take it easy.
And it was the best thing ever. For the next half an hour, they just hit the ball, no pressure, delighted with life, delighted with themselves, left with a big smile on their face. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
at the driving range.
They're not.
I'm
gonna
like,
wanna
maybe
come
I was
back.
overcomplicating it.
Yeah,
Well,
if you're
exactly,
lecturing
they're
them
not.
for the whole hour.
Yeah.
The next week, when
It was
you say
a
we go back to
valuable
the-
lesson I learned.
They don't want to go.
What are your football lessons like? A bit similar.
Well, football lessons, you just play football.
It's not as technical.
Play with the instep.
Well, is this
Outside of the boot.
Nathan is Earl Woods. Is this where we're getting?
I wish.
Trying to get to. Jesus Christ! What? What?
He had sex in the same room as his son with a bunch of random women.
I didn't say I wish to being Earl Woods. I don't think anyone would wish to be Earl Woods.
I also brought the young fella to the golf. Crazy golf.
Oh, yeah?
He's just over 2, obviously, so hasn't a clue what's going on.
Also a dangerous
I was
activity.
like swinging around, just one-handed swinging. I'm like, no, I was doing your thing. I was like, no, stand like this. Just I didn't, obviously, he's 2 and a bit, but like just to hold the club correctly. And he was like loving it. Mainly sort of running along, picking the ball up and dropping it into the hole. But it was like, whatever gets you through the day, like, it's good.
Past an hour.
About 15 minutes, I'd say. 6 holes and then it's grown.
Oh, we should mention, actually, of course, myself and McIntyre had an outing
Oh, I do, yeah.
last Friday in the glorious sunshine. We went to Merriam Square. The good people in Cadbury's, we stole your invitation. What was it? The Cadbury's Easter egg hunt?
Yeah, in Ada Bernardo's. It was great.
There was
Great
a
setup.
lot of chocolate.
Beautiful weather, an obscene amount of chocolate.
A lot of heat and a lot of chocolate.
Did he let them bring them home, or did he just give it to your kids? And
Well, I met Dave's kids and they were in tears at the. They were eating their rice cakes.
Thankfully, I can debunk that wasn't actually the case. But they got their fair share of chocolate that day and on Easter Sunday. But after that, the plug was pulled. They had a couple of buttons yesterday, and I think
What a treat.
I think they got to crack open another egg at some stage during the week. But we've managed to offload a lot of our chocolate in the last week.
Yeah.
I'd say a bag full of Easter eggs.
To Nathan's family.
Wow.
We've managed to give a lot of it away, which is a good thing. There's not much left in the house because I end up munching my way through it as well if it's there. So if it's there, it'll be it.
yeah, that's the issue.
So you have to get rid of it.
Was it good? Did you get loads?
You got a goodie bag when you're going in, which
with
was
2 or 3 eggs in it, loads of Cadbury's chocolate pieces,
Yeah.
dairy milks.
And then they did there was an
Amazing.
Easter egg hunt where they went around and got a load of clues, fill that in, and you bring that up, and they both emerge back with another Easter egg and 4 bars of chocolate.
Oh.
So
Is
there
there any
was a lot.
dairy-free chocolate?
No, there was not. It was Cadbury's. I don't think they.
I don't know if they...
No, I don't think that's it.
Are you not allowed?
No, the young fella doesn't. He's dairy.
I thought you were weaning him back onto it.
I mean, remember several months ago I said we were on the 3rd step of the milk ladder?
Yeah.
We're either still on that step or we've fallen back slightly.
You forgot about the ladder.
Yeah, the ladder has been put in the shed for a while. Yeah, well, we really need to get back around to it, but it's just such a pain in the hoop. That's the reality, like it's...
Why am I lactose intolerant, folks? Well, we couldn't be arsed. It's the truth. We just couldn't be arsed.
I don't think he's lactose intolerant. He's just... I don't know, is there a difference? He's dairy intolerant.
I don't know. That was the joke.
Okay.
Do any of you do the Easter bunny? Like, do you do an Easter egg hunt around your house or anything?
Yes.
Do you do the Easter Bunny Dave?
That time I dressed up as Easter bunny for your birthday and walked the
fuck was that
studio. That was weird.
That was funny, yeah.
It was May. It was May. He wandered in studio with a full...
The best thing was, initially he was like, oh, that's obviously Nathan. But after about 20 minutes of me sitting there not saying anything, he was a bit like, who the hell is this?
I know, you being quiet for 20 minutes was like...
Miraculous.
Nathan had actually bought that for his sister, by the way. That was...
Oh yeah, I still have that somewhere. My sister had arrived home from Australia as a surprise to my mother, and so it was Easter Saturday evening.
Okay.
So the whole thing was she was going to dress up as the Easter bunny, and shock my mother, which she did.
Okay. Your ma was like beating the Easter bunny around the head.
Literally. It was quite brilliant. She took the hat off, and my mother's talking to her.
You sent a video of that, right?
Yeah. My mother's standing talking to her for about 30 seconds as she's taking the hat off before she actually realises she hasn't seen her daughter in 2 years and is back from Australia. Which says more about my mother maybe than... Anyways, I got busted putting out the eggs on Sunday morning.
I can't believe it.
Disaster. You put them out. You can't put them out Saturday night because they're only these tiny little cheap ass Marks and Spencer.
Am I the only one that was not at all aware that this was even a thing? When did this become a thing?
In the last decade.
I was never a thing when we were kids.
Nah.
And why is it a thing?
That's for a bit of crack.
Well, the Easter egg hunt is definitely something that
passes
people
an
have
hour.
done.
So the Easter egg hunt, I understand.
But getting up early in the morning to lay eggs out.
Fake bunny that arrives in.
Oh no, hang on.
Oh, I wasn't dressed up as a bunny.
Were you not? I just had the impression you were right.
And the excuse.
He wakes up when the boys are still asleep.
Puts the gear on him. He goes for a 2-hour nap.
Now that you say it, that would have been a far better idea. But I woke up about 7:30 on Sunday morning, presuming that the lads are sleeping until about 9 o'clock, not taking into account that it's Easter Sunday, so
they're obviously up.
They're going to be wired. So I was out the back garden putting eggs here, there, and everywhere. Looking up just to double check they weren't looking at the curtains. Thought I got away with it. My wife comes downstairs, youngest lad.
2.
Hysterics, tears. I saw Daddy putting out the Easter eggs. So I was like,
as a bunny.
That weekend I put the bunny outfit on again on the Sunday we had all my extended family, cousins, and there was about 20 kids around, so we had a big Easter egg hunt about 2 years ago down home in Mayo, and I put on the bunny suit for it. And the same kid, I don't know what it is with him, just bloody nosy, can't mind his own business. As I was changing back out of the bunny suit, rocked into the bedroom, goes out, tells everybody that I was the Easter bunny. He's at his tennis camp last week, and the Easter bunny arrives on the Thursday, and he's telling every kid, "That's my daddy. That's my daddy in there. It's not real. That's my daddy." I'm like,
but it wasn't you that time.
No, it was just weird.
I was in my suit at home.
So I had to frantically come up with I was like, oh, the Easter bunny for some reason left some of the eggs in the drain, and I saw them there. I thought they might get wet, so I moved them into a better location. He is 5, nearly 6.
And he was having that, was he?
Well, I think
not really.
I think he was. There's always, on the back of his mind, he's like, if I don't go with this, am I going to lose out on these eggs?
Does it need to be a thing though? I just don't just give them Easter eggs, but grand. Like,
oh, you can't just give them Easter eggs, but this drags an hour of their day into.
It is Easter holidays.
Why not just give them, money for their teeth and presents at Christmas?
good shout.
See, I am wary of
Where's the
people listening to this podcast in their car.
Yeah. So
we should have put a spoiler alert.
Well, I'll do that on the explainer. Because I am the producer of the show who uploads it.
It's the loosest title that's ever.
Fast forward to next week. Shit! Oh,
I knew there was something I was supposed to do.
Apologies to the following family.
I couldn't get the image of Nathan in a rabbit suit out of my head, and I forgot about it.
There's a hierarchy of it though, where so this came up in conversation, and at various stages you have the conversation about Easter, and you bring them in. Here, listen. By the way, that's what that is. But this other stuff over here, now you better make sure that you understand that's 100. There's no way we would spend that money on you. Absolutely no way. There's like a graded.
Right.
It just gives you an extra. I don't know. And then there are other people like, absolutely no, like you, going.
I don't know, maybe we get into it down the track, but it just feels
Scrooge McDuck.
I mean, it just feels like such a, who's invented this bullshit?
The Easter Bunny.
Yeah,
Cadbury's, I'd say.
probably.
You'd appreciate it though when they're older.
The Easter Bunny I appreciate exists, but just in this particular specific guise, I was...
Well, what other guys does the Easter Bunny have?
Well,
what other role has he got over the course
you
of the
tell
year?
me, you're the resident Easter Bunny around here.
Turns out Easter eggs and egg hunts are good. I was like, we'd never had egg hunts. We would have painted eggs and rolled them down the hill on Easter Sunday when we were kids, which is a Nordy tradition apparently, and also cheap because no one had any money. But now it's like you can go to Lidl and buy 60 little baby eggs, and it's like they find them.
But
I'm saying the Easter egg hunt I totally get, but why it needs to be
in connection with
The actual Easter bunny that comes around to everyone's house to do that, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be, Adrian. You do whatever.
You can just do a.
As in, yeah, I'm with
You
you.
be an asshole if you want. Ruin the whole thing.
You can say Jesus has been resurrected and he has left them out upon his
That's
resurrection.
definitely something that will happen in my household, yeah.
Yeah. Sashaying out.
Jesus is dressed as an Easter bunny.
Oh yes, okay. So Kesh from Bernard, Ben Keneally. How you doing, Ben? Potty training your 2.5-year-old son. Use the potty or straight to target practice in a normal jacks. Tips and lessons learned from experience, please and thank you. Some advice for you, Michael. And then there was one here. Buckle down for the weekend. Stock up on beer. No dipper or pants on.
What's like a pull-up nappy.
All right. And to the jacks to sit every 30 minutes. Set a timer. Big bag of Smarties. Every time he sits in the jacks, he gets to pick one. He's going to pee on the floor, but it's okay. End of the weekend, he will get it.
That's optimistic.
My experience
End of the
was
weekend.
that the piss goes everywhere. You're sitting on the jacks. It's like,
Is it a boy or a girl?
lad.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're screwed.
target practice, he's assuming that the kid is going to be willing to stand there. Whereas very few 2.5, 3-year-olds, boys in particular, are happy at the very early part of the toilet training to stand.
Oh no, does
wanna
that mean
sit.
sit on the toilet?
He does.
Well, that's not target practice then.
Well, you can still have them sitting there and.
The problem is as well, like parents who are starting to toilet train boys have no idea how difficult it is to get their willy in under the toilet seat. It's
impossible.
Like piss goes fucking everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. Make sure there's no boxers/underpants/trousers on as well, because they're going to be soaked.
Yeah.
You might just take them off as well. But look,
That's not going to be fixed over a weekend, I can assure you.
No, I would go down the
50-year job.
I'll go down the potty route and just have it on the kitchen floor, TV room floor. Remove any rugs. A lot of houses obviously are lino/semi-laminate/wooden floors,
Irish
which is
people have
great.
carpet in their bathrooms, which Europeans kind of look like going. Sometimes you miss snow.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a rug or anything, remove that from the floor, and then they can almost literally piss where they want.
Yeah.
There's no damage done. And on the wood floors as well, you look, wiping up, get a couple of wipes to pick up a dump. So what? Like, there's nothing can go wrong here as long as you've got the time to put into it at home.
Is it not worth, though, saying, here's the potty and that's where you go? Like, the potty is at least a staging post on the route to...
And if it's they then that decide they're too big and too old for the potty. That's what happened with our eldest fella anyway. He was like, no, like, babies use potties. I'm going to the toilet.
Yeah, our middle one.
And that
was
will
like,
happen.
Just lazy. Couldn't be arsed going upstairs and was like, I'm going here and you're not going to stop me.
I would go with whatever the child.
2.5 is also early for lads.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
The one
definitely,
bit of advice I would have is try not to stress about it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work after the first weekend, leave it for a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
And go back, because that was the big mistake we made. We're doing it now, and I'd say we had 3 months of getting angrier and angrier.
They said
and
to
then
try to do
actually
it during good weather for whatever, I presume it's...
Yeah, well, they can run around in the garden with no nappy on, and again, there's no damage done.
If they are taking a dump, do they seek out somewhere to... does it just like walk
Secret
along?
place.
No, some kids will go behind a couch or behind a wall or behind the trampoline. Other kids will just stand there in full view and just get the job done. Different personalities. That's the other thing. If you're toilet training your boys in particular, I can only speak about boys, I've no experience toilet training a girl, but don't compare your son to anyone else's son. Don't compare your son to any of your other sons, because every single one of them is different. Every one of them will, like our eldest, he was way far in advance of any other boy that I have heard of when it came to the number ones, but we had issues when it came to the number twos.
Right.
Or it could be vice versa. He could get both. This listener's kid could get both very quickly, could get neither very quickly. And as Nathan said, you just roll with the punches. Don't spend 3 weeks on this.
Yeah.
Spend a couple of days, maybe 3 or 4 days. If it doesn't work, put a pin in it, come back in a month's time, start again. That doesn't work, come back in a month's time, start again. We have a deadline coming up in that Montessori starts at the end of August.
And you need to be out of...
We need to be
into nappies.
out of the woods by then. So we've got, 4 months?
You haven't started.
Haven't started, no. And it's definitely coming. That window is going to open.
So what's day
4
one?
weeks.
Day one is what?
Day one is lock the front door,
Nappy
bed
off.
down. No one's leaving the house unless you have to go
Cover
and
your
get some
carpets in a
groceries.
bit of plastic.
No, we've no carpets anywhere apart from the stairs. They're not going to really do away in the stairs, so they can go literally anywhere else in the house.
And are you? But what conversation are you having with the child?
He already knows what a potty is. He already knows that's where the wheeze and the poos go. But in the morning, for example, particularly at the moment, if he's got really bad nappy rash, in the morning, for example, we'll let him wander around for a good hour before he goes to creche. And some mornings, he'll come in and say there's a wee on the floor. But what he has started doing the last few days, he keeps telling us he's done a poo on the floor. And I'm going, where? There. He's pointing at a poo on the floor that is not there.
All right, it's a joke.
He's so realistic in what he's saying that I'm looking at the floor going, what am I not seeing here? Like, is it my eyesight that's failing me here?
How old is
He's 2.5.
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't really ideally we won't start this till he's 3, but it's too late then. He's not 3 till the end of November.
Yeah.
So
they definitely, the lads become aware of their bodies at certain points. My young lad is taken to walk into the shower and pointing at me going, you have a big willy. I'm torn between, yes, of course. Of course. That's my gift to you.
That's definitely not the first time anyone's ever said that to me.
You're like that Father at 10 episode. You're very small though, so
Just having that Dave moment of, I'm so proud he's my son. I was moved to tears.
The trouble is that we went to the swimming pool on holidays and we're going to change room after it. He's just gone, you have a big willy to the whole change room. Everybody's looking around going,
everyone's looking around going,
no, not so much.
Enda Lynch has been in touch to say, skip the potty like Nate suggests, straight on in. Weather is crap for the weekend, so stock up on wipes and away you go. That's pretty much all we have time for. On
the best advice is just, as Nate says, no need to get stressed.
and try not to stress the child out. Like, obviously, it turns into this is the biggest.
Yeah.
The biggest thing in their life.
That's what
and putting pressure.
Here, what I'm asking is, so you get up in the morning, you take the nappy off, and you go, we're locking the door. This is what's happening. What's the specific conversation with the child?
Oh, it's just, listen, any wheeze or poos, you just tell Daddy and we'll go to the potty. But it's not going to happen. It'll just happen when it happens. And then, now the advice there that the listener had of either putting the child on the toilet or the potty every half an hour, because what you need to do, they need to be sitting down on the toilet or potty even when they don't need to go.
Yeah.
And so the half an hour with a timer is not something we did, but I think that's a brilliant idea. And absolutely bribes and incentives are required. Incentive being chocolate, bribe being anything you can think of that really doesn't push the boundaries of reality.
And whoever else is watching needs to get some kind of bribe as well. We had a Grand National Sweep in our house, and the little one won it, and the other two cried the house down when the money was given over to him. I was like, that's kind of how the gambling works. Welcome
to gambling.
Welcome aboard the Grand Trade.
So what happens when they don't know about going to the potty or the toilet and they do the number 1 or 2 on the floor for the first time?
You just say, they'll tell you.
Don't worry about it.
They'll tell you there's a spoon on the floor, and you go, don't worry, we'll get it next time.
But
just make sure you do it on don't do it on carpet.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't rub their face in it like you would with a dog or whatever.
But that listener needs to keep in touch with us. Let us know how this weekend went. One topic that I want us to discuss for our next pod. We are reading, myself and the older guy, reading Danny the Champion of the World at the moment.
Yeah. The racism in the books.
We haven't got to those points where I'm like,
Willy Wonka is like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's probably not acceptable nowadays.
One in particular is like,
we haven't come across any racism or discrimination in the first few chapters anyway. But his father is telling Danny about the methods his father, i.e. Danny's granddad, used to use to catch pheasants.
Yeah.
And
poaching.
Yeah, and there's a little kind of cartoon picture there, and you can see Danny's dad when he's a child and Danny's grandparents standing around the kitchen table. Yeah, well, there's no mention of him anywhere else. So the little fella says, where's Danny's granddad now? I'm like, oh, he's not around anymore.
He died.
Oh, did he die? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. Why did he die? Well, fuck.
He was old.
Sometimes people get old and then they're not around for that much longer. And you
always.
know, he says, "Where's your granddad?" My granddad's not around anymore. Both of them? Yeah, they're not around anymore. And he says, "And what about my granddad and my pa?" So then he's thinking about my dad and Nicky's dad. So I just kind of said, let's get back to reading the book.
Another book about rabbits.
And then he doesn't say anything for 5 minutes. So are you okay? He says, I don't want people to die.
I know.
So
point.
that the door has been pushed ajar. I now have a week or two before this comes up again. Any listener input or input from you guys as to how this conversation should be handled. I don't want to pull the wool over his eyes. I don't want to say, no, that's never going to happen.
No, I think you've just got to tell the truth. It's like, it's not going to happen for a long time. Like, it's so long that you can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I did say, this is really nothing for you to worry about. Right now, you do not have to worry about this. Then I told him about all the stuff you do need to worry about. You need to worry
Global warming.
I wouldn't worry about it. Global warming is your big issue right now.
No, I said, being a good boy, being good at school, having fun, learning how to kick your football, reading books. You just worry about those things. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Any listener input having
He's
heard
really
this
come
part?
into his own since this podcast has developed, isn't it?
I think I've got to spend a lot less time with you guys.
That's the common denominator.
That's more time with the kids.
That's right.
I was asked, is rasher a vegetable? I was like, no. Is it a treat? They're obsessed about the animals because they love animals so much. It's like, are we eating this pig? We are, and we really like it.
And we're going to continue to do so.
At some point you kind of think that, a lurch towards vegetarianism wouldn't be the worst thing.
I've definitely considered it over the last couple of weeks.
But then I just love rasher so much.
Oh, yeah.
I do love my steak.
You'd have them so at the moment you have meat every day, right? But you would suddenly have half and half.
Yeah.
That would be enough to kind of...
Or just have
Keep them
half the
quiet.
amount of meat every day. So as opposed to going days without, just cut down on your portion size.
How do you have half a burger?
Just cut it
Cut it
in
in
half.
half.
I'll do the second part tomorrow.
But
That's boring. That's a shit.
Yeah, I mean,
but also
Same
it's
meal
not
2 days in a row. Why not just have
impacting on how many animals are being killed for food because you're literally just leaving half a burger.
no, you're
You're eating the next bit the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, I am increasingly finding myself thinking about those things. Every time a crappy little shitty plastic toy breaks in half, and you just scoop it up and just throw it in the bin. I'm looking at it in the bin going it's 500 years before you biodegrade.
and even then, that's a made-up figure. That's a figure so far away in the future that we're I'm sure it will in 500 years. It won't. It's
But global warming will burn it all.
Well, that's
you hear about microplastics all the time. I know we're way off topic.
baby
here.
wipes. I was looking at...
Oh, baby wipes.
I mean...
But at least baby wipes,
I feel bad about that, but I mean, they're fucking good.
Yeah. Well, it's like nappies. Oh, yeah, the reusable nappies. No thanks.
Oh, screw that. I definitely thought at one point before I became a parent, reusable nappies. That's
I think we tried them. I'm pretty sure we tried them for about a week, and then eventually it was, what is the smell around this house?
it's just...
throw out clothes sometimes if it's if it gets too bad. I'm like, oh, that's good.
How many pairs of underpants and vests have you just lobbed into the bin?
God.
They're covered in
Far more
shit.
than my wife will ever know. How come she has no vests? I have no idea. I have no idea.
But I imagine the amount of detergent and softener required to get the shit out of those reusable nappies. You're probably counterbalancing what you're actually saying.
Absolutely,
Fair
Dave.
point.
We're dead right.
On that note, dadcast@offtheball.com for your emails. You can get us on Twitter, #Dadcast. We're also on Facebook and YouTube, and eventually we'll look at the comments under the live streams on all of those social channels. So I hope you enjoyed this week's show. We'll see you again next week. Good luck.